So this here is the NITECORE HA11 headlamp from NITECORE. It's fairly inexpensive and it uses AA batteries or lithium 14500 batteries, which means that you can have the headlamp on as long as you have extra batteries with you. The body of this headlamp is made out of plastic, but it only weighs around 38 grams, and they also say that it will be resistant to drops up to 1 meters, and I tested this myself a few times and of course no problems at all. It's also IP66 rated, and you can see there's just a small gasket around this opening here for water not to ingress into the headlamp. And it's just a very nice and simple basic clip to close the headlamp. I think I have the ultra light version with the kind of these thin lines for a strap. So when it comes to user interface, we have two buttons on the top here. I find them easy to find when I am wearing the headband. At the moment I have forgotten which modes by which buttons to click, but after just reading the manual ones you will remember it if this is your only headlamp that you're using. But basically you have a few different light modes. You have the red ones and also the white ones. So in white you have high, which is around 240 lumens, low 6 lumens, ultra low 6 lumens. Then you also have the SOS in white 240 lumens or beacon 240 lumens. And in red you have the constant on, which is 10 lumens. And then you also have the slow flashing if you're like using it as a rear facing lamp while you're biking or something like that, which is also 10 lumens. Overall it's maybe not the most comfortable headlamp. We see we got a slight foam there on the front side, but it only weighs around 38 grams, so in my opinion it's not bad at all. So when it comes to performance, this headlamp here uses one of NITECORE's in-house developed LEDs, as I have understand it, the UHE LED, and they say that it will have a 21% increase in luminous efficiency, so up to around 190 lumens for each watt, compared to the older generations of SST40 LEDs, I guess that they would use in this kind of a headlamp, which had a luminous efficiency of 157 lumens for each watt. So what does this mean? A higher power draw also makes the LEDs run hotter, so then we can have either a headlamp that can run for a longer time on a high output without it getting too hot, and then stepping down the lumen output because we don't have enough cooling, or as in this case here we have made a very small headlamp which doesn't have a lot of cooling built into the housing, but we can still keep a high luminous output because the LED is not generating as much heat. Or it also means that you will have a headlamp that can run for a longer time at a higher output without draining too much of the battery. But even with a new efficient LED, we can see that when turning the headlamp on at 240 lumens, the luminous efficiency, or the output I mean, is dropping straight from the start down, and after some time it even drops down to like the normal mode, which is maybe around 60 lumens only. So it is advertised at 240 lumens, but you never really see those 240 lumens. So I think this is here a more of a 60 lumen headlamp, but this is almost the same for any headlamp or flashlights and such. The advertised number is the maximum, and because electric appliances like this generates heats, if they don't have enough cooling they will drop down to output where it's have enough cooling for it to stay. So the nice thing about this headlamp here is that it uses a high efficient constant current circuit with a non-PWM driver. Some headlamps and flashlights uses this for it to be able to not generate as much heat, and it's basically just switching the LED on and off very fast. So when you are like filming the headlamp with a phone battery, you will have that flicker, and I think research have proven that overall you will not feel as good when using these kind of headlamps. And this here is like a constant current, so it does not switch on and off very fast. You don't see it with your eyes, but your brain picks up on it, I guess. And yeah, they could have maybe kept the lumen output even higher if they use a driver like that. But yeah, it's not something that seems to be recommended, at least. So overall, it's not a very high output headlamp. For me, it's more for using for walking and such, and this kind of lumen output is more than enough for what you need for walking pace in a very rough terrain and such. But if you want a headlamp that lights up your environment, so you maybe feel more safe because you are able to see in your peripherals as well, not just the beam where you shine the light, you will need something with a much higher kind of lumen output. And I also would say the same for if you are like running in an area or a technical area, but then you need a more expensive and higher lumen output headlamp. For the money and for what it offers, I feel it's a perfect headlamp, and especially if you want something that can stay on for a very long time, as long as you have batteries.